Hello, boys and girls. Miss Russell here. I wanted to go over with you a little bit about nonfiction summary. Today our goal is to summarize nonfiction text. When we summarize a nonfiction text, we need to look for several things. And yes, I'm just reading right along on this page. The who or what, when and or where, and the main ideas that happen in the beginning, middle, and end. If we are taking notes on an animal, we must gather all information from the text or the video. Summarizing text is not a time for you to state what you know or you learned from somewhere else. You must get it directly from that text or that video. The purpose in summarizing is that sometimes when you are talking to someone about a new movie, a book, or something that happened, you don't want to tell them all the details. If you start telling someone too many details, they'll lose interest in what you're saying. When you are taking notes for a research paper or a scientist who is taking notes on their actual intense research, you want to put the most important information. In the future, you will use this to help you take notes, paraphrase, to write papers in high school and in college, and many other things in life that involve school and a job. So in class, we talked about a summary from the beginning, the middle, and the end, but it must include the most important details, which this ties into your main idea. For example, and I know y'all all remember Sneeze the cat. We love animals. We established that in class. This is my favorite example. So many moons ago, we read about Mae Jemison, and we had a summary question. Some of you picked the answer that said Mae only told Sneeze the cat about her being an astronaut. That was not something that was important in her life, and it did not help her accomplish her lifelong dream of becoming the first African American astronaut. So that was what we're looking for, is what is important and what's not. So although they may give you a unique detail about an animal, unless it helps to further what they're trying to say about the animal, then you may or may not use that. So I took a little snippet from Ellis Island on Ducksters.com. So I'm actually giving reference to the website that I got the information on. So it says Ellis Island was the largest immigration station in the United States from 1892 to 1924. Over 12 million immigrants came through Ellis Island during this period. The island was nicknamed the Island of Hope for many immigrants coming to America to find a better life. Ellis Island operated from 1892 to 1924. That is a typo. It says 54. The federal government wanted to take control of immigration so it could make sure that immigrants didn't have diseases and were able to support themselves once they arrived in the country. So when I want to summarize, I need to take notes and paraphrase before I write my summary. We did paraphrasing last week, and that's where you're going to take the information and put it into your own words. But what I've done is I've put a little graphic organizer here to kind of help you organize your thoughts. So the first thing I did is it says who or what. Well, the whole two paragraphs that we were talking about is talking about the immigrants. And it says when and or where. Sometimes it tells you both. Sometimes it tells you only one. So here it actually told us it was at Ellis Island, and it told us the time frame from 1892 to 1924. So I wrote that in my notes. The main part, which was in the beginning, I wrote Ellis Island was called the Island of Hope because many immigrants hoped to stay in America. And that's basically what the message was. The idea in the middle was that the government controlled who could come in the country and who didn't. So that's why when they said it was the Island of Hope and they hoped they were going to stay, they didn't know because they had to go through certain tests. Now, that wasn't stated in there. That's just my prior knowledge. So I know when I put that the government controlled who came into the country and who didn't, that's how my prior knowledge would help me. But I'm not going to write that down because they just controlled it. And that's all that was stated in the paragraph. So the main idea, or the part of the end, is that the U.S. didn't want immigrants to stay in America if they had diseases. If they had diseases, then they would carry it to other people. Then they couldn't be productive citizens in the United States. Instead, they would die there or they would have to be taken care of. And this would also, at the time, put a strain on those families that were staying, put a strain on the U.S. citizens in many different ways. Again, it doesn't state that. I just know some of those facts. So I didn't write any of that. I just wrote what was in there. And they did say that if they had diseases, they would send them back. So in closing on this summary, I wrote my own. And I want to try to have it up where you can see my actual different points where my box I actually used. So it says, now write your summary below using your notes in your own words. Immigrants that came to Ellis Island from 1892 to 1924 were hoping to find a better life. That's true. That was the island of hope. I just didn't put the island of hope because it was in quotations, and I'm trying to put this in my own words. The government controlled who could stay in the country and who couldn't stay. And of course, I used that from my notes. The U.S. didn't want immigrants to live in America if they had diseases. So, of course, that's a typo. The good news is I can actually take that away. So what I've done is I've summarized what was stated up above. What helped was as I was reading, I was taking these notes and paraphrasing at the same time on my own. Then I took and I wrote my nonfiction summary. I made sure to do things like if it said United States in there or America, I tried to interchange it with country, U.S., and I only used America one time. There wasn't a word for the immigrants that I interchanged, but I did stick with government. But I tried to change up all the words so that it was in my own. Once I put it in my own words, then I know I have a full understanding of it. But the most important thing, too, is that you have to make sure that it is information from that text and not from your head. And that does sometimes affect us when we choose our real world responses to answer choices that are multiple choice. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do one from a video. So it says it's important for me to put as much of the summary in my own words, so I have to understand what I've read or watched, which is what I just stated. So we're now going to watch a video on penguins, and I've pretty much done the same thing. So I want you to verify my facts by watching the video on YouTube.
Have fun and learn math at the same time with Adapted Mind,
great
a fun learning game
ad.
for each.
Penguins. Penguins are the best dressed animals on the planet. They're easy to spot. They look just like they're wearing tuxedos. They have a cute, elegant walk and can even say, "How do you do?" But they also like to have fun sliding on their bellies. Whee! Penguins are the champions of sliding and swimming. It helps them escape their biggest predators, seals and orcas. They live in cold climates, in places such as Antarctica. That's why they have special feathers that keep them warm in water. Have you ever seen a penguin wearing a jumper? No, that would be silly. What else makes the penguin special? Well, they're a bird that can't fly. But they can swim just like a fish. So, what makes them a bird? Well, they still have a beak, wings, feathers, and lay eggs. Oh, look, baby penguins. Click on the videos above to see more amazing animals.
All right, so now we're back here. And of course, if we were in class, I would have you do this on your own, but we watched the video on penguins. And so the who or what is the penguin and when or where. I'm not really sure of when they did this video, but I do know it's in Antarctica. And that's where I was talking about sometimes there's the when and the where, and sometimes there isn't. So the main idea of the beginning is a penguin is unique and easily spotted with its feathers that favor a tuxedo, black and white. That's the note I took. So then my middle part was penguins love to slide on the ice and are excellent swimmers, which help them get away from their enemies like an orca. and that was towards the middle. And at the end, I have, although it's a bird and it has all the characteristics of a bird, it can't fly. Now, in the movie, it did talk about it having a beak and the feathers, and it lays eggs, but I didn't need to specifically put all of those things down because I summarized it again into my own knowledge. So for my summary, I have: penguins live in Antarctica and are easily spotted because they look like they are wearing a black and white tuxedo. They love to slide on the ice and are fast swimmers, which help them get away from their predators like the orca whale. Although a penguin is a bird and has all the characteristics of a bird, it cannot fly. So I took the facts from the video, I reworded them so that I could have it in my own words. So on here, when it says penguins live in Antarctica and are easily spotted, I could have said they're easily seen. And if I wanted to do that and say, well, you know what? They used spotted in the dictionary. So I'm going to in the video, I'm going to take and put seen. And that way I know that's not their word. Now, when I said, and they look like they're wearing a black and white tuxedo, they did talk about a tuxedo. And nowadays, tuxedos can be in many colors. If you've seen anyone go to the prom, you know that they come in many colors. So I thought if I specifically said black and white, that would give you the idea of the color of the penguin. And then I told them something they love to do. And of course, they're predators and what they were good at, because those are things that are important about an animal. And then the last part which is about the characteristics of telling why it's a bird, but what is the one unique factor that it has that people don't understand why it's a bird. One is that it swims and one is that it cannot fly. So, and I do know that ducks can actually dive down into the water. So I'm not going to read too much into that, but I am going to say that according to this video, my facts that I put in my own words support it. So in conclusion, we can summarize if we stick to the simple note-taking and paraphrasing. This is a great strategy for you to use in the future. You can use this at any time that you are having to paraphrase a video or text. And remember, the who or the what, the when and or where, which we had that situation, the main ideas are the key points from the beginning, the middle, and the end. Although there's some unique things about the feathers and how they kept the animal dry, that is just a unique characteristic that I would not want to include in my summary, because although it's a detail, it's not that important of a detail because it's covered underneath the characteristic of a bird. So hopefully you've learned something today, and I want you to start trying this on your summary. Thanks. Bye.